What's up, everybody? Ninth Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video. Today, we're talking about Toxapex, and of course we have Single Spotlight as well, because this Pokemon is much better in singles, in my opinion, and just in general, I think most people believe that. This Pokemon is really solid in singles, being able to wall out a lot of Pokemon, set Haze, set Toxic, and just kind of sit there for a while, recover, taking away stat boosts, and making just being hard to deal with Pokemon in general. And in doubles, it does the same thing, but a little bit worse, because your opponent can just kind of ignore this Pokemon or just like focus in on it, and the Pokemon just like doesn't do enough in doubles most of the time, which is unfortunate. But that is kind of like the whole thing with Pokemon like this in doubles, is they're just not as good as singles, honestly. And it's weird because a lot of Pokemon are better in doubles than singles, and a lot of Pokemon are better in singles than doubles, and that's just something you'll learn as you go on in the game. I'm still learning what's best in singles and what actually is good in singles, because I've never played singles really. But as far as this Pokemon goes, it's pretty meaty in singles, and it's pretty cool in doubles too, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So poison water typing for Toxapex is an amazing typing, by the way. Only 3 weaknesses, 0 quad weaknesses, and a bunch of resistances. This Pokemon can safely switch into a lot of scenarios and just take minimal damage, poison guys, recover, and just be a nuisance on the field. And that's really cool about this Pokemon. Resistances covering fire, water, ice, fighting, poison, bug, steel, and fairy. 8 types. That is really good. And then for weaknesses, we have just electric, ground, and psychic. Really not that bad. You know, those are pretty relevant like pools, but you know, only taking 2 times damage is not too bad. With defenses like this Pokemon has crazy defenses. It's absolutely insane. Really good stats across the board with that, or with the defenses. Other than the defenses, every stat kind of sucks, but that's bound to happen. This Pokemon won't be dealing a lot of damage. It won't be taking a lot of damage, though, and that's kind of the bigger picture of this Pokemon. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the stats. Okay, so stats. So 50 HP is not amazing, but defense with defense at 152 and special defense at 142, like, it doesn't really matter that your HP is only 50. I mean, obviously it does matter because it's very low, but with investments into HP and then some into defense, this Pokemon is tanking so many attacks, and it's just amazing. Honestly, it can tank so much, and it's just so good. It just chills on the field forever, which is really cool. Into our attacking stats are pretty low. 63 attack and 53 special attack. We're opting to go special attack just because of Scald being able to give us burns on certain Pokemon. Being able to minimize damage is really useful, and then being able to dish out more damage with toxic and poison damage, and just like that, you know, on and on damage. And that's kind of where this Pokemon comes from, doing good damage. Speed 35, we're pretty low. You can play this with 0 IVs and Hindering Nature to play it as under Trick Room. However, if not, it hits like what, like 50 something, 56. Not bad, just not that bad in general. Anyway, so yeah, let's go into the build. Let's go into the actual build. So, Ability Regenerator. This is a really good ability. Whenever it switches out of battle, you can heal 1/3 of your maximum HP, which is really good. Being able to take not much damage, set up a couple of things like Toxic, potentially Haze in doubles or singles, and then, you know, be able to switch out and then still heal up, which is really good. And then our item is Black Sludge. You can opt to use Leftovers. They're the same thing, but if you want to have Leftovers on something else in your team, you can, because of Black Sludge, which makes it cool. Black Sludge just heals. It does the same healing as Leftovers, but only for poison type Pokemon like this boy. Otherwise it'll damage, so only use Black Sludge with poison types, please. Anyway, that's it for our ability and item. Into our moves, we have Scald, Toxic, Baneful Bunker, and Recover, with a lot of other good moves right above me that we can opt to use. So, and for our moves, we have Scald, just dealing some damage, and then also potentially burning, which is very good. We have Toxic, just to deal as much damage as possible off of a bad poison, which is very good. It can help break walls down and just deal damage with this Pokemon. which is very good. You know, leaving this Pokemon on the field for a while, your opponent just taking gradual damage while you're just taking no damage or very minimal damage, and then taking like Recover, Baneful Bunker. You can outlast a lot of things with this Pokemon, which is really, really good. And then Baneful Bunker is Protect, but if you get hit, you poison them, which is really cool. If you get hit with contact damage, then you will poison them, which is cool. And then we also have Recover, just being able to heal back up a little bit more than Black Sludge. It's pretty amazing. Honestly, you just take very little damage, you recover, and then Baneful Bunker, and they just die to Toxic and stuff like that. And that's why this Pokemon is so powerful in singles. But in doubles, they can kind of just ignore it because it puts out very minimal damage and doesn't really like raise any of its stats. Obviously, you can use something like a Max Excadrill or something like that to raise your defenses even more. But then you're still just not doing much damage, and a lot of Pokemon will be able to still do more damage than you after multiple buffs / debuffs. So once they get into like a couple Pokemon versus just Toxapex, you know, they just target it down with multiple Pokemon. It's really slow, and it just becomes really hard to get back into the game with Toxapex, which is unfortunate. But that is the downside of Pokemon like this in doubles. You know, you can just focus in or just not care about it, and that's kind of what it is. Into our other moves here, we have a lot of other good moves. So we have Stockpile. This is one of the moves that will be able to make this Pokemon very, very bulky and kind of just hard to deal with after. Like, if they just ignore it and then you start stockpiling, it's pretty hard to ignore this Pokemon. And then even if you're doing no damage, you can potentially like win to a timer stall because Toxapex is just doing no damage, which is unfortunate and kind of like it just sucks. It really sucks to lose to timer. But then we also have Haze. Haze eliminates all stat buffs or debuffs, all stat changes, which is really good actually. We use that in our singles set, and we'll talk about that later in singles. Infestation traps in Pokemons and does a little bit of damage gradually. This is pretty cool. You can Infestation something and then Toxic it for bad poison, and then just outlast it, and that's really interesting. And then we also have Sludge Bomb, just a good stab move for poison. That's pretty good. Icy Wind, lowering the speed of other Pokemon, is pretty cool, but if we're playing on Trick Room, then Icy Wind is kind of bad, but it depends. And then Toxic Spikes as well, just giving us that whenever Pokemon switch in, poison them immediately. That's a pretty cool one, although like Toxic is arguably better in my opinion. It doesn't hit every single thing like without having to attack, but it badly poisons, which is much better. Yeah, much better. Anyway, into our stats. So we have just maxed out 252 into HP, 220 into defenses, and then 36 into special defense. This is just the most used on Pikalytics, as I haven't really used Toxapex this season. I don't really know the perfect spreads. I just go with the most for Pikalytics when I don't use the Pokemon. So this is that spread. And also we're relaxed, giving us plus defensive minus speed, just being as slow as we can so that when we set up Trick Room, this Pokemon can go first or early. Which is good. So a couple of Pokemon that you can play with this is, if you play it Trick Roomy, then a self-sufficient Trick Room Pokemon, something like Dusclops that's able to burn, set up Trick Room on its own, not have to really care about Follow Me or any other gimmicks to help set it up. It's just very, very naturally bulky, hard to deal with, and pretty hard to deny Trick Room a lot of the time. Things like Taunt can stop it, Dragon Tail from Duraludon can stop it, but that's really it. And if they don't have something that's dedicated to stopping Trick Room, a lot of the time they'll fail to stop Trick Room, and you can just set it up very easily with a Pokemon like Dusclops. You can also use something like Mimikyu, Bronzong, that's most of them, that are pretty self-sufficient. Maybe even like Chandelure, but then you're kind of giving up that like setting Trick Room and having the speed. So like Dusclops will then go first with Trick Room, which is good. So that's why we use Dusclops mostly. And then another good partner is Pokemon that are good under Trick Room that can really, you know, carry weight with Toxapex. If you have Toxapex and a Pokemon like Gastrodon, something that's just not doing much damage but good under Trick Room because of its low speed, then they'll kind of just like not care about Toxapex. If you put out something like Belly Drum Snorlax or just like Snorlax in general, your opponent will have to deal with Toxapex or the Snorlax. And then you just like your partner Pokemon has to do a lot of work when Toxapex is on the field, is pretty much what I'm saying. So something that does a lot of work, something like the Belly Drum Snorlax or Rhyperior Weakness Policy, stuff like that, is really optimal partners for Toxapex to go off of. So that's about it for this slide. We'll go into our speed tiers here real quick. Our speed tiers are pretty, assumable. We are under Rhyperior and Gastrodon. Those are the two Pokemon that are right above us. Things that will unfortunately outspeed us before Trick Room. And then once Trick Room is set, we outspeed Gastrodon or Rhyperior, which is very good. And then we're on the same speed tier as Mudsdale. However, most of the time when you see Mudsdale, it won't be hindering min speed. So we'll probably be outspeeding Mudsdale after Trick Room is set. But before that, Mudsdale is pretty scary, actually, having high horsepower and Max Quake, being able to deal a lot of damage out to a Toxapex, which is pretty unfortunate. Same with Rhyperior and Gastrodon. They all deal a lot of damage to Toxapex. Toxapex takes a lot of damage from all of them, which is unfortunate. Things that we do outspeed at first before Trick Room is Bronzong, Snorlax, Runerigus, Reuniclus. All of these Pokemon you'll probably see down at this speed tier. Maybe not the Snorlax. You'll probably see Runerigus and Reuniclus and Bronzong always at this speed tier, so we'll be outspeeding them initially, which is really good. Same with Hatterene and the Dusclops. We'll be outspeeding them all the time. Neither of those Pokemon will have speed on them. Like 99% of the time they won't have speed on them, which is good. And then obviously at the very bottom we have Torkoal and Ferrothorn, always outspeeding us after Trick Room is set. They're at speed tier 20. There's nothing we can do. Or 22. 20 or 22. It's 22. Is it 20 or 22? Wait. Yeah, it's 22. It's 22. I'll go crazy. Anyway, that's gonna be it for our speed tiers. Actually, that's all we really have. For our for our damage calcs. So, Dynamax, Max Quake from an Excadrill, an Adamant Max Invested Excadrill Dynamax Max Quake is going to do 87 to 104% damage, a 25% chance to OHKO. We're probably going to be living it, but it's still something you don't really want to contest, in my opinion. And then Dynamax Life Orb, Special Attack Invested Dragapult Max Lightning, so this will be Thunderbolt base, is going to do 74 to 89% guaranteed living, which is really, really good. And unfortunately, we don't really threaten either of these Pokemon very much. When you're up against these Pokemon, you kind of just have to chill. You have to protect and then potentially Toxic, but you can't Toxic the Excadrill, and it's just not a really good position for this Pokemon. Duraludon is kind of scary as well, being able to Max Lightning as well. However, we do live that one as well at 71 to 84% damage, so we'll be living just barely. So we guaranteed live, but it's still very scary. And this is Modest. A lot of the times you'll see a Timid or it's really usually just Timid or Modest. It's Max Speed or Assault Vest Modest, which is good. But if it's if it's max invested into, if it's Modest plus Life Orb, it'll kill us. But usually you won't see that. Then next we have Storm Drain boosted Gastrodon. This is the most used Gastrodon spread at 108 Modest. So after +1 from Storm Drain, Max Quake hits 115 to 137% of our HP, guaranteed OHKOing us, which is pretty unfortunate. Gastrodon is something we shouldn't have to be afraid of, but it is very scary actually, especially if you Scald and they called it and they Storm Drain boost, then they're threatening an OHKO very easily in the next turn, so that's unfortunate. Also, it's notable that if you do Baneful Bunker, it won't be poisoned because it doesn't make contact, so that's unfortunate. Next we have Rotom Wash Thunderbolt, max invested into special attack, is going to hit 62 to 73. We're going to live that. However, if it nasty plots, we are dead. And then our last one is Toxapex Scald into Rhyperior, 100% chance to 4-hit KO. Just, you don't have to worry about doing much damage. We're just not doing much damage. Although that is Dynamax, so, after Dynamax, if we can outlast the Max Quakes, then we can make it, which is good. Anyway, on to our last thing here. Our last slide is Single Spotlight. This Pokemon is actually much better in my opinion in singles, which is good. It does the same thing as in doubles, but you don't have to worry about getting ignored, because your opponent can't ignore this Pokemon. You can just set Haze, Toxic, Recover, Scald. This Pokemon is really good at just sitting there for a long time. We have our investments just at 252 and 252 into HP and defense. just to live as much as possible, leaning into that really solid physical defense, and then being able to just recover, and then haze, just eliminating any stat boosts. Your opponent sees this Pokemon, they're like, oh, okay, well, I can like Swords Dance up and kill it. No, you can't. Sorry, buddy. We're gonna haze and just get rid of that, and then be able to be very good. You can also run Baneful Bunker on this Pokemon. You could also run Toxic Spikes on this Pokemon, but it is better in singles, and definitely. So that's going to be it for this video. Toxapex. I like Toxapex a lot. I liked it a lot in 2017 as well, but it just is not as good in VGC as you would think. It's really good in singles, so definitely if you play singles, definitely try this Pokemon out. If you play VGC, you can try this Pokemon out too. It may not do that well. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It might not do that well, but I really like Toxapex. I think it's really cool. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. So if you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. We're almost at a K, which is awesome. We're gonna be doing the giveaway at a K. So if you haven't signed up, you can get one of these guys. I have the other ones too, Squirtle and Bulbasaur. You get to pick one of them at a K, and then we're also doing a giveaway at 1500 and 2K, and for the remaining two. So if you want to do that, link in description for the giveaway, as well as it's just on my channel. You can just go to my channel and then click on it. And yeah, Charmander. If you want Charmander or Squirtle, all you have to do, or Bulbasaur, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel, and then like the giveaway video, and then also comment on the video, the giveaway video, which one of them you want. Would you want the Charmander, the Bulbasaur, or the Squirtle? It's easy. Just do that. You can win a free Funko Pop. That's all you gotta do. All right. Anyway, that's gonna be it. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.